Representative McMakin's hiding behind the pillar. Okay, well, we're going to let you sit for a little while. We'll call you back up in a couple hours. Representative McMakin, let's take up House Bill 113 first, if you don't mind. Ms. Smith, House Bill 113.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. House Bill 113 by Representative McMakin provides that public institutions of post-secondary education shall furnish public records without charge to certain student media organizations affiliated with the institution. And there is an amendment on this bill.
All righty. Representative McMakin, on your bill, you want to introduce your bill real quick, and then we'll take up the amendment?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members, it does exactly that. If you're a student at an institution, you ask for a public record, the institutions can't charge you for those records anymore, and we do have an amendment to add to it.
Let's go ahead and take up that amendment now. Ms. Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This amendment is 2216. It is online and has been passed out. On page 2, line 8, you would change the institution to the institution or by students enrolled at the institution. The effect of this is to provide, to identify the media outlets that we're talking about. It's those funded in whole or in part by fees levied by the institution or by students enrolled at the institution.
All righty. Y'all, a couple of questions. Is this on the amendments or is this on the bill? Okay. I'm going to go ahead and offer up amendment set 2216. Is there any objection to the adoption of these amendments? Hearing none, amendment set 2216 is adopted. Back on the bill, Representative McMakin.
Be happy to take any questions.
We do have a couple. Representative Marcel.
Thank you. So am I correct to understand that it's only the media outlets that are affiliated with the school?
Yes,
and
ma'am.
give me an example of that.
At LSU, the Daily Reveille would be an example.
Okay. And so it would have to be a media thing. What about some other type of, if a group started some type of media for Twitter or for Facebook or whatever, would they have to give it to them and would it have to be an approved media outlet?
When you say approved, so the language
By
of
the school?
Yeah, the language of the bill is intended to be for what I'm going to call the official media outlets of each place. So you wouldn't have just rogue groups forming up to get this. It's the ones that are recognized by the school, and that's why we added that fee language in there, that the ones that are involved with fees as part of the school for the media.
Okay, so is that what your amendment did?
Correct. Yes, ma'am. It added, what we did on that one was we were thinking about originally just said university fees. Well, then the idea was that some universities call their university fees student fees. So we didn't want them to try to get out of it by claiming that it wasn't for student organizations or media outlets that were part of the fee structure.
So is it no charge or a reduced charge? I see.
It's a no charge.
Okay. So I got it. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, in the language of the bill, Representative Marcel, it does say the outlet that is affiliated with the institution. So like the Reveille being affiliated would be. So if,
Okay.
in your example of a Facebook group or whatever,
Right. They would
not-
have to be approved for the institution.
Correct.
Right. I just don't want, these groups forming
no.
and
Correct. Yes, ma'am.
asking for.
All right, Representative Wright.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Representative McMakin, I appreciate you doing this. I want to talk a little bit about it, though, to try to understand better. So when you did your research on the bill, or however you did things, and I don't mean that as a slight, I just, whatever you did, did you get any kind of experience with people who were dealing with this and what's out there from a cost perspective, the amount of time? I'm just kind of curious. Maybe it was LSU or someplace else. What was your experience when you learned some of this?
Can you? I'm not quite sure what you're asking for.
Look, I assume you didn't just drop this out of thin air in your head. So I didn't know if there was a local, an LSU media group or somebody else that said, "Hey, we want to do this because we had this experience." Usually, that's how bills come about, right? Somebody had an experience, and what I'm trying to understand is how much is out there from a cost perspective, especially at a student newspaper. I'm just curious. I didn't mean to complicate this too much. I'm actually going to move the passage bill. I just want to get a little bit of background.
Yeah, so, and there actually was a fiscal note that they tried to do on this one, and it came back as zero. Everybody, all the institutions came back and said it would not be an absorbent cost or anything like that. This actually came from a former student newspaper at LSU. They tried to hold LSU accountable, and then LSU came back and said, oh, we're going to charge you a huge amount of money. I think it was hundreds of dollars, and so they could no longer try to hold the institution accountable. And so I didn't want that to be a case anymore, where I wanted that the student media groups that are trying to hold these institutions accountable or report on something, they wouldn't be hindered by the cost of it anymore. And I thought it was just kind of odd that you already pay so much money to these institutions with fees and what you're doing, then they're going to try to then charge you again for something along that matter. So that's where the idea came from.
Yeah, no, I get it. I mean, I'm trying to think through, and I do not have a lot of experience in this area, so I can see me not totally understanding, but I just...
Let's let Representative Wright, let's let Mr. Sternberg chime in, because I think he's probably I know you can't see him, but he came up to the table.
Oh, I know what he looks
Okay.
like.
So he might be able to add some clarification
Mr.
to
Chairman,
your
I'm hard to
question.
miss in the 6'5", 225. Scott Sternberg, Louisiana Press Association, and Representative Wright. I think I know what you're after. In 2004, an agreement was negotiated between the Reveille, or 2005, the Daily Reveille and LSU that they would not charge for public records. And they were providing electronic records.
Keep speaking into the mic.
Sorry. They're providing electronic. I was trying to look them in the eyes when I'm talking to them.
It's on bad.
You know, they're trying to produce electronic records to save money. A couple of years ago, LSU basically said we're going to start charging again, and I don't think they charge very often. The students, this happens very rarely, but it is a way for them to retaliate against students, not LSU particularly, at the Nicholsworth, at Southeastern. Against a student that maybe writes a story that they don't like. So the students are paying a lot of money in fees already, and I think that, as the Press Association, we support student journalism, and so we think it's a good bill.
Yeah, so no, this is kind of getting to where I wanted to go. I'm just kind of curious in general, how much of this is electronic versus essentially, the cost itself. I mean, I would have to believe that a lot of this is all electronic. There's no paper involved. There's no cost. I get it. You might have to have somebody deal with that on the staff. But talk to me about that. That's what I'm trying to get a sense, and how it compares to students versus just a normal record request.
I think that's a really interesting distinction, because one of the things that can be done to increase the cost is to say we're only providing hard copies of records, or we're going to charge you $25 for a thumb drive. By having this legislation, we basically neutralize the ability to change the format, Rep Wright, but I mean, I would say 99% of public records requests in this state are electronic at this point.
Okay. Well, like I said, I'd like to move forward at the appropriate time, so thank you.
Representative Gadberry.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Real quick, so it's my understanding this bill would not be charging students for public records, but they would the public that came in the request. They would charge them a fee, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
The fee is optional, Rep Gadberry. They don't have to do it, but they usually do.
Thank you, Representative Gadberry. The board is clear. Would you like to close on your bill?
Thank you. I move for favorable passage, please. Thank you.
Representative Wright has made a motion that we report House Bill 113 favorable as amended. Is there any objection? Seeing no objection, House Bill 113 will be favorably.
Transparent.